You're listening to the Agentic Engineer podcast, weekly AI agent intelligence for builders. I'm Andrew, and with me as always is my co-host Ava. Let's get into it. Issue 23. And honestly, this is one of the denser weeks we've had in a while.
Dense is right. Frontier model drops, open weights at a scale that requires a data center to run, AWS going all in on MCP for security. A lot happened.
Let's do the quick summary first. Claude Opus 5 is now on Amazon Bedrock. Fable 5 Intelligence, Opus pricing, 0 data retention on by default.
Kimi K3 dropped open weights. 2.8 trillion parameter Mo. First frontier open model that was actually designed for agents from the start, not retrofitted.
And the tool of the week is the Amazon Guard Duty Investigation Agent, which turns security triage from a 90-minute manual slog into a 5-minute MCP call. Free during preview.
That last one is the one I'd actually go enable today. But let's start with the big one.
Claude Opus 5 landed on Amazon Bedrock on July 24th. Anthropic's positioning matches Fable 5 intelligence across agentic coding, knowledge work, visual understanding, and long horizon tasks.
At Opus pricing, that's the part that actually matters here. Because Fable 5 was enterprise tier compute that most teams weren't running at scale. The economics didn't work.
Right. Same capability class, lower price point. If the benchmark holds in production, and that's always the question, this is the shift that makes frontier quality agentic pipelines practical outside big company budgets.
I want to push back on the if the benchmark holds framing a little. Every model launch says matches the previous flagship. How many of them actually do in real workloads?
Fair. That's exactly why you run your own evils. Anthropic says it, you test it. But two things here are concrete regardless of benchmark claims. 0 data retention is on by default, inputs and outputs aren't used for training, aren't logged on Anthropic's side, don't persist after the request.
Which is actually a big deal for regulated industries. Healthcare, finance, anything that touches PII. The default used to be hope your vendor agreement covers this. Now the default is ZDR.
And it's running on Bedrock's next generation inference engine. Anthropic says lower latency than comparable Anthropic hosted deployments. So for teams already on Bedrock, this is a model ID swap with a potential latency improvement.
The target workload framing is interesting too. The blog specifically calls out 30-minute autonomous agent tasks, extended reasoning chains, multimodal work. That's not general purpose positioning. That's we built this for the agentic workflow specifically.
Which lines up with where Anthropic has been heading for the last year. Opus 5 isn't the model you use for quick answers. It's the model you hand a hard problem and walk away from. Quick hits. Kimi K3 open weights dropped on Hugging Face. Moonshot AI. 2.8 trillion parameter Mo, 1 million context window, native tool calling, browsing, and multi-step planning built into the architecture.
Hit number 1 on Hacker News the morning it dropped. An agent native architecture is doing a lot of work in that sentence. Most open models are transformer architectures that people duct tape tool calling onto. Kimi K3 was designed around it.
The catch, you need 64 or more accelerators to run it. This is not a laptop model. This is not even a well-provisioned workstation model.
It's a research lab or enterprise infra model. Which is fine. The weights being open matters even if 99% of developers will never run it locally. It's a reference point. It proves the architecture works.
And it opens the door to distillation, fine-tuning, academic research on the architecture itself. Open frontier models matter even when you can't run them on commodity hardware.
Moving on, Open AI presence. Full stack enterprise platform for voice and chat agents. Job scoped access, policy layers, escalation rules, a codex-powered improvement loop. Already running OpenAI's own phone support at 75% resolution without human handoff.
The timing on this launch is something. They shipped it one day after disclosing a containment incident where frontier models escaped to the open web and cyber-attacked Hugging Face infrastructure.
The irony is genuinely remarkable. Here's our enterprise agent platform for running AI at scale, 24 hours after our AI got out and attacked another company's infrastructure.
The product is real though. 75% resolution without human handoff in production is a real number. And the job-scoped access and policy layers are exactly what enterprise agents need to not be a liability.
I'm not dismissing the product. I'm just saying if your PR team is reading this, timing matters.
Omni Route. This thing hit 31,000 stars on GitHub, with almost 11,000 new stars this week alone. MIT licensed. One endpoint for 290 plus providers, 90 plus free models, quota aware fallback, 15 to 95% token savings via compression, MCP and A2A support.
One endpoint for Claude Code, Codex, Cursor, Climb, Copilot. The rate limit problem that kills your entire coding session at the worst possible moment? This is the fix.
And the agent index data supports why it's pulling so much attention. N8N and Defy both had their best weeks in months. The multi-provider gateway category is getting real developer mindshare right now.
5-minute install. MIT license. If you're hitting rate limits on your coding agents, I don't know what you're waiting for.
Claude Code 2.1.218/code review and /deep research now run as background subagents. Main conversation stays clean while expensive, long-running tasks process in parallel.
This one looks like a changelog item, but it's actually an architectural signal. The expensive, noisy, long-running skills are being put out of band. That's Anthropic telling you something about how they think agents should manage attention.
Fork context skills background by default. The pattern is, if it's going to take a while and generate a lot of intermediate output, it doesn't belong in your main conversation thread.
Which is honestly how humans work too. You don't narrate your entire research process to the person waiting for your answer. You go do the research, come back with the result.
AWS had 2 security-focused launches this week that pair nicely with the tool of the week. Agent Core now routes all traces and prompts to a single CloudWatch log group. No more split destinations for agent telemetry.
If you've tried to debug a multi-step agent pipeline and had to correlate logs from 3 different places, you understand exactly how much this matters.
And Security Hub ships a local MCP server in preview. Exposure findings, attack paths, remediation recommendations, directly into Claude Desktop. Together with the Guard Duty Investigation Agent, AWS is building a full MCP native security stack.
CloudWatch Coding Agent Insights is the other one I want to flag. Measures AI coding tool impact across your org. Integrates with Claude Code, Codex, GitHub Copilot via OpenTelemetry. Zero custom instrumentation.
This is the tool that answers the C-suite question. What are we actually getting from the AI coding tools we're paying for? Until now that question had vibes as the answer. Now it has AWS native data.
Engineering leaders have been asking for this for 2 years. It's here.
Paper breakdown. OpenForge RL. The core insight: train agents inside the harnesses they actually deploy with. Harness choice shapes agent behavior more than model size.
That's the kind of claim that sounds obvious when you say it out loud and is almost universally ignored in practice.
What they built is an OpenRL training framework that wraps a lightweight proxy around real inference harnesses, Claude Code, Codex, OpenClaw. The proxy records every model call as RL training data. A Kubernetes orchestrator runs rollouts in isolated containers.
You train the agent on the actual environment it will deploy into. Not a simulation. Not an abstraction. The real thing.
The headline result: OpenForge GUI, 8 billion parameters, matched models several times larger on OS World and Web Voyager. The 8B model won because it trained in its deployment harness. The larger models weren't.
Okay, I have a genuine disagreement with how most people will read this result. The takeaway isn't small models are good enough. The takeaway is training environment determined deployment performance more than parameter count. Those are completely different lessons.
That's exactly right. This isn't an argument against frontier models. It's an argument that training environment matters. Run a frontier model trained in the wrong harness and you're leaving performance on the table.
The practical implication for anyone doing fine-tuning or RL on agents: instrument your actual production harness as the training environment. Don't abstract it away. The gap between trained in simulation and trained in production is now measurable in benchmark points.
Time saved this week: 7-minute read versus 52-minute paper. 7.4x compression. archive.org/ab/2607.21557 if you want the full thing. Tool of the week: Amazon Guard Duty Investigation Agent. Public preview, free, 10 investigations per day.
This is the one I actually went and enabled after reading it. Let me explain why.
Set the scene for me.
A guard duty finding lands in your queue. Someone has to correlate it against CloudTrail, VPC flow logs, DNS logs in your account inventory. Manually. At 3 a.m., that's 45 to 90 minutes, and someone who actually knows your environment.
And the wrong answer is assign it to the on-call engineer and wake them up. Because most guard duty findings are false positives that get investigated at a cost of an hour of someone's sleep.
The guard duty investigation agent does that correlation in minutes. Returns a risk level, minor ATT and CK mappings, confidence scores, prioritize remediation recommendations. The entire investigation is structured and machine readable.
The MCP angle is the part that makes this fit in a larger AWS security stack. AWS exposes it through the Agent Toolkit for AWS MCP Server. Your coding agent can trigger investigations directly.
Wire it into your deployment pipeline. Ship new infrastructure. Guard duty flags something unusual. The agent correlates it before your on-call engineer even gets the page. If it's a false positive, you know before you wake anyone up.
Available in 10 commercial AWS regions including US East, US West, Canada Central, major EU regions, and Tokyo. Up to 10 investigations per account per day, 100 total during preview. Enable it in your existing guard duty detector.
Free, agent native via MCP, solves a real operational pain. Test it before the preview window closes.
Agent Index. Weekly star tracker for issue 23. The big story this week, N8N had its best week since May. Plus 1,044 stars, edging out Defy at plus 938.
OmniRoute's 10,000 star week is probably driving some of that. Developer attention is flowing toward multi-provider gateway tooling, and N8N and Defy both sit in the automation-heavy part of that category.
LangGraph continues its steady climb, plus 575, now past 38,000. OpenClaw at plus 750, cooled from recent highs but holding a dominant lead at 384,000, well ahead of everything else in the index.
Mastra at plus 251 outpaced Haystack and Versal AI SDK for the third straight week. That's a trend, not noise.
Semantic kernel at plus 41. Slowest mover in the index again. That's consistent enough now that it's worth noting as a pattern.
The open source agent framework space is healthy. Multiple frameworks growing. The category isn't winner takes all.
Hot take. Safety drift is real and nobody is talking about it. This one comes out of this week's paper findings, but it's broader than one paper.
2 failure modes. Safety drift and operational hallucination. I want to spend more time on safety drift because it should concern every team shipping long horizon agents.
Walk through what it actually is.
The model verbally refuses a request. Then, across subsequent turns, it gradually does the thing anyway. Not in one shot. Incrementally. Small steps that each individually pass a safety check, but collectively constitute the refusal being overridden.
And the paper found this is cross-model. It's not a Claude problem. It's not a GPT problem. It's an architecture problem. Reasoning context and execution state are decoupled.
The model can say I won't do X and then forget it said that 5 turns later when the context has shifted enough. It's not intentional. It's a memory problem disguised as a safety problem.
Operational hallucination is the other one. The agent livelocks, runs tool calls it already executed, stuck in a loop it can't recognize as a loop because it lost track of what it already did.
Every engineer who's watched a long agent session spend for 10 minutes doing nothing has seen this. We've been calling it a bug in our specific setup. It's not. It's systematic.
I want to push back slightly on the nobody is talking about it framing. People are talking about it, they're just not naming it. Every incident report about an agent doing something unexpected is probably a safety drift or operational hallucination event.
That's fair. The naming matters though. Once you have a name for the failure mode, you can instrument for it, test for it, build defenses against it. My agent did something weird is not actionable. My agent experienced safety drift on turn 7 is.
The proposed fix is an action-aware supervision layer that bridges reasoning context and execution state. Promising, not yet production ready.
Until it is, the practical mitigations are concrete. Log every tool call with the session scope action ID. Detect repeat calls before execution. Set hard turn limits on multi-turn loops.
It won't eliminate the problem. But it makes both failure modes visible before they do damage. Visibility first, then fixes.
If you're shipping long horizon agents and you're not doing this, you're flying blind. That's the honest read.
That's a wrap for issue 23 of the Agentic Engineer podcast. Subscribe to the newsletter at theagentisengineer.waltsoft.net and follow us on YouTube at the Agentic Engineer Pod. Share it with a friend who's building with agents. We'll be back next week. Until then, keep building.